lose someone to homicidal violence is always a difficult task to move on from. However, when the victim is a 4-year-old child, this makes it even more difficult, not only because it was a parent's child, but also because that child never had a chance to live their life, nor did they have the ability to defend themselves. This is the fate that sadly befell 4-year-old Barbara Jean Horn. Barbara was playing in her front yard when she was abducted and seamlessly murdered. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, and I welcome you to another installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries, the case of Barbara Jean Horn. This case, it's actually one that I tend to remember a lot, not only because of the fact that it was a child who was brutally murdered, but the person uh, that they had figured out that could have been the killer was actually released. That they determined that he was actually not the killer. So I kind of feel bad for the family because the family, could have been believing that they had their child's killer, and then all the way, decades later in 2020, the killer was exonerated because apparently he was not the killer. Yeah. So I feel bad for Barbara's family because of this. It's like tearing open a wound that was already starting to heal. Yeah, it takes, it was over 20 years later, but still it's the fact that you're reopening a wound. I think it makes it even worse, that it's really cruel that, a family starts to have their closure and then only to find out that the person that they assumed was the killer was exonerated. Either I'm not sure if it was lack of evidence or he just was not the person. We will find out more in the video, but as always, if you like what you watch, which I hope you are, feel free to click that like button, click the subscribe and the bell, and you'll be alerted when I release another installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. I'm about to say Files for Unsolved Mysteries. Files from Unsolved Mysteries. Anyway, let's get on to the show, but first, these commercials from the 1980s.
Little Hershey's Kisses have big, big chocolate. Little Hershey's Kisses have big, big chocolate. Little Kisses have big chocolate you're gonna love. They got little silver wrappers. They got tiny little flags. They got big, big chocolate. They live in great big bags. Little Hershey's Kisses have big, big chocolate. Little Kisses have big chocolate you're gonna love.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to this series, this is basically where I go to the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and I have my secretary. Her name is Jasmine. She will read to us the case, the sad tragedy of Barbara Jean Horn, and then I will possibly give you my thoughts throughout the video. And basically, we are here to see if there's been any updates to this case. So let's do this. We'll do this and then this. There we go. I will start off with this part here. Her full name was Barbara Jean Horn. One thing I do want to mention is that because Cosgrove and Muir, they clamped down on anybody who covers any of these cases on YouTube. I originally had a small clip of a video, but I got copyright strike because of that, or copyright claim. I can't recall which one it was. I think it was claimed. Anyway, this is one of the few cases that they actually did not have a reenactment at all. Basically, it was just Robert Stack and an FBI agent sitting in a room in a police station, and the FBI agent was actually recalling the case to Robert Stack. So this is one of those few cases that actually did not have any sort of reenactment, which is sad, because normally that tells you how serious this case was to everybody involved. Normally they like to do a reenactment, but no, they just wanted to get the word out about the person who killed this 4-year-old child. So yeah, let's continue on, shall we? Real nickname was Barbara Jean Horn. Known nicknames. The location was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the date was July the 12th, 1988. I'm not sure if I did. I think I said it was 84 in the previous segment. If I did, I apologize. It's actually July 12th, 1988. Now, I normally have a computer program read this information, but it's highly irregular about its accuracy and how well it works. So there may be times that I'll have to kind of fix it up and everything, just to get it working. So let's continue on, shall we? So I'm going to select down to, let's see how far this can, if this will be fine. Normally, I think it's going to give us a problem because we've got the caption here for Barbara Jean Horn. But let's see how it works, though. Let's see how it works. I can read aloud.
Details.
Oh, it worked. It
4-year-old
worked.
Barbara Jean Horn was the only child of Sharon and John Fahey. They lived in the northeast section of Philadelphia, a relatively crime-free area. At 3 p.m. on July 12, 1988, while Sharon was at work, she went outside to play in the front yard of her home when she vanished. John discovered that she was missing when he went outside to check on her. He searched around the neighborhood, checking with neighbors. However, he could find no trace of her. He called the police and an official search for her began. 2 hours later, Barbara was found bludgeoned to death and stuffed into a cardboard box which previously contained a television. It was placed next to some trash cans 2 blocks from her home. It could be the only clue to solve her murder.
Okay, so basically we had a child who went out to play in her front yard, and she's basically abducted and savagely murdered, which nobody should have to go through that, young or old. That takes a special kind of coward to especially do it to a child, to grab a child and basically kill them like that. It reminds me of a time when I was young. I think it was like 83 or 84. It was just before my parents divorced. My parents and my parents lived in a mobile home park. I think it was in Aberdeen, over here in Washington. And my father was working on a vehicle, according to my mom. Well, I wanted to go outside, and my mom let me go out there because she figured that, I was going to go to, visit with my dad and stuff. Well, apparently I didn't do that. At this time, mobile home parks were like a big thing here in Washington. And my mom let me out, and she, like I said, she assumed that I was going to go see my dad because the vehicle was pretty close to the front entrance of the mobile home. Well, I did not do that. In fact, I actually went across the mobile home park to a whole different mobile home park. There's like multiple mobile home parks, And I started, I got, I was, walking around, and apparently some children from the neighboring mobile home park found me, and they started taking me door to door to door because you had this child who's no older than 3 or 4 at the oldest, and they were asking, "Is this your child?" And the first one would be like, "No." They went to another mobile home, another mobile home. "Is this your child?" "No." And then they finally started getting closer to the mobile home park that me and my parents lived in, and they go, "Is this your child?" And the person recognized me, and she goes, "Yeah, you may want to check with that family over there." And they brought me back to my home. They knocked on the door, and my mom opened up the door, and she was panicking at this time because apparently she asked my father if, where I was, and my father was like, he's not with me. You let him out? And suffice to say, she was not happy with me or my father because of the fact that I had to, because I got away from both of them, I can't help but wonder that if maybe it was just if it was a wrong place at the wrong time, if my fate could have been something similar to what happened to Barbara Jean. But yeah, you don't see mobile home parks that are like large amounts of mobile home parks in one area. This was pretty rare at the time. But yeah, so let's continue on. So we have that was basically it for the segment. They talked a little bit about the person in the segment, but the segment itself, I think, was less than three to 4 minutes. I mean, it was a very short segment. It was towards the end of episode 1, season 1, episode 8 It was towards the end of that episode, which, by the way, just so you know, I'm going to put that the link to that case in the description below so you can read or watch it. And I'm going to see if I can try to also get it up here in the corner so you can actually see it. You know, you can click on it that way also, because this case I feel needs to be solved. But anyway, let's continue on, shall we? Okay, so we got suspects. Let's go down to here. Let's see how. I'm hoping that this program is going to work nice. Hopefully, let's hope. Let's hope, you know. Okay, read aloud. Come on. Please.
Suspects.
Yes.
4 eyewitnesses observed a suspicious man at St. Vincent Street.
There it goes. It's acting up. I knew it was good. I was too
E.T.
happy.
and Castor Avenue, carrying a cardboard
Wow, it's acting up again. Wow. Go on.
box that was believed to be the one that Barbara was later found in. This man is believed to be her killer. He was described as a white male, between 25 and 30 years old, 5 feet 8 inches, 180 pounds, with sandy brown hair. He was wearing a white t-shirt and cut-off jeans at the time. The box previously contained a 13-inch color Hitachi television set. Extra notes: this case aired for the first time on November 16, 1988. This was a unique segment where Lieutenant Arthur Durant, who was involved in the case, was interviewed directly on camera by Robert Stack. It also featured no reenactments. It was also featured on Death Row Stories.
Okay, so that's why I was kind of talking about that. Basically, it was literally just Robert Stack and this guy talking in a room, and there was no reenactments. I kind of like it like that format sometimes, especially when you're wanting to get it, just to show kind of how serious it is. You know, we don't have time to do a reenactment. We want to get this word out as soon as possible. You know. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's go down to here. Come on, please. Please.
Results: unresolved. In 1992, authorities re-interviewed people from Barbara's neighborhood. One of the individuals interviewed was her neighbor, Walter Ogrod. When he began giving conflicting information to the police, they confronted him about it, and he broke down and confessed to killing her. He told investigators that she had come over to play with a young boy who was living with his family. He claimed that he lured her to the basement and tried to sexually assault her. When she tried to fight back, he struck her repeatedly with a metal rod from a weight set until she died. He claimed that he washed her, wrapped her in a towel, placed her in the box, and then disposed of both several blocks away. When shown a picture of the box, he identified it as the one he placed her eye.
He placed her in. The program did not catch all. Okay, so what I'm wondering is because according to reports, he was exonerated or he was released. I'm not sure exactly what it is. We'll find out a little bit. But I'm wondering why it is that he made this, he admitted to it then. Okay, let's continue on. Come on, please.
After he signed the confession, Ogrod was arrested and charged with Barbara's murder. He allegedly confessed the crime again to a jailhouse snitch. Some parts of his confession were able to be confirmed. The medical examiner determined that her body had been washed and that the injuries inflicted on her were consistent with those coming from a metal rod. Photographs taken in 1986 showed that the weight set with the metal rod was in the basement of Ogrod's home. Also, authorities had determined that the box came from a family that shared a driveway with Ogrod.
Okay, so it's sounding a lot like this guy did it. So why the fuck was he released then? Because if I was this girl's father and this guy had that kind of knowledge that he washed my daughter, he wrapped her up, he assaulted, first he killed her with a metal bar. He had that knowledge. He said that he washed her, he cleaned her up and everything. If he had this inside knowledge, you know, odds are he most likely did it. And if he most likely did it, why the fuck did the courts let him go? I'd be pissed if I was this girl's father. And the fact that the box was came from a family that shared a driveway. You know, that it's not. I swear to God, sometimes justice system is fucked up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's continue here, please. Please work. Pretty please.
In
Okay.
1993, Ogrod went on trial for Barbara's murder. He claimed that he was
Oh,
coerced
for
into
fuck's
confessing the crime
sake.
by the officers and that the snitch was lying. He was almost acquitted of the charges until one juror announced that he disagreed with the acquittal. A mistrial was then granted. In October 1996, almost 10 years after the murder, he was retried, convicted of the crime, and sentenced to death.
Good. The way it should be. You take a life, you lose your life. The fact is now, no, what it was that the piece of shit, he's claiming that he was coerced because he probably realized, oh shit, now that I confess to it and I have this insider knowledge and all this, I could possibly face the death penalty. Oh no, I'm too much of a fucking coward to actually pay with my life for killing somebody. No, 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 no. I don't want to lose my life. The victim, fuck the victim. I don't want to lose my life. No, he fucking admitted to it. He fucking admitted to it. It's like I always say, criminals are a cowardly fucking bunch. They can do the crime, but they can't do the time. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay. Okay, please work. Please. I know this is a little bit longer. Please work. Please. Please. Okay.
However, new evidence has come to surface that suggests Walter Ogrod is innocent. His supporters point to the fact that he was just one vote away from an acquittal and that he looks nothing like the composite of the alleged killer, which is shown above. Also, another man, convicted child killer Raymond Sheehan, was identified as the killer by an eyewitness who came in contact with the suspect. Furthermore, Ogrod's confession allegedly occurred after he was interrogated and coerced for over 36 hours without sleep. He was allegedly denied counsel when he asked the detectives for a lawyer during questioning. There were also inconsistencies in the confession itself. For example, Walter Ogrod claimed to have beaten Horn to death with a metal bar, but the coroner determined the murder weapon to be 2 by 4 inches, significantly smaller than the bar in question. Finally, no physical evidence has ever connected him to Barbara's murder.
Hey, hold on. Ah!
He was scheduled to be executed in 2005, but was given a stay of execution.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do not buy this whole he was coerced bullshit. How would he know? How would he know that that she was beat to death with a bar? That that the girl was possibly raped and cleaned and all that if he didn't do it himself. And that's even what the fucking coroner said, that she was cleaned and that the way that she was murdered was in fashion with what he said, basically. And they said it was 2.5 what was it? 2 by 4 inches, the murder weapon. I've seen weights, like lifting weights, that have short bars. You're telling me that just because they didn't see the bar there, that they don't think that he did it? Weightlifting sets come with lots of bars from what I've seen. I'm sorry. I think that this guy did it. It's just that he realized that, oh shit, I could be put to death for this. I'll throw out coercion. They forced me to do it. They forced me to say it. No, I think this guy did it. I think he did it. But ultimately, this whole thing is this series. It's twofold. It's to keep the cases open and in the light. Also, it's to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think that this guy did it, or do you think he's innocent? I think he's guilty as fuck, but ultimately, it's not what I think. It's what you guys think. I just think this guy knows too much for claiming that he was coerced. Yeah. Also, if that box that Barbara was found in was in the driveway, apparently there was a driveway that two houses shared. If he could identify the box, and the box actually was identified from coming from the neighbor's house, like what did the police do? Get a box and just put the little girl in? No, I think this guy did it. But let's continue on, shall we? I think it's easier to just throw. If there is a killer who's already targeting people, sometimes I feel that it's easier for people to try to claim, oh, that killer did it. If they killed somebody, that they're going to try to blame another killer on it. That way they can walk free, basically. Okay, let's continue on. Please. Please.
Ion. In 2018, a conviction review was ordered and
Oh, fuck. Hold on.
ddNA testing was conducted on evidence in the case. In January of 2020, it was announced that male DNA found on Barbara's body did not match Ogrod. In March, the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office stated that Ogrod was likely innocent and that his conviction was based on flawed, hidden, or corrupt evidence.
Okay, if it's not his DNA, how is he able to determine or tell them that the girl, they weight, the weight a bar from weight set was used, and that the girl was cleaned and all that? I don't think the police would have told him that. If they did, then they're shitty police officers. I'm not saying that police officers are all good guys. I admit that there are corrupt officers, but the fact is that we have a guy who admitted to it. He even had information. I just don't think this time around that the police actually said, okay, we have a girl who was killed with a bar, a weightlifting bar. She was attempted rape. She was clean. I don't think that they would have told a criminal that, because then if the criminal said coercion, that the criminal could then say, hey, this is what they told me. Like, if he didn't do it himself, he may have known somebody who did it. But I find it very suspicious that this guy has the information about how this little girl was killed. And ultimately, what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, we need to find the killer. We got to figure out who is innocent and who is guilty. Okay. Please. Please work. Please. Come on, please. Okay.
Prosecutors stated they believed his confession was coerced by the two homicide detectives that interviewed him, as it was later discovered they had a track record of doing this. They also no longer believed that the jailhouse informant that testified against him was credible. The DA's office asked a judge to vacate his convict.
His convict. She meant to say conviction. Okay, who the fuck killed this girl then? The box was there between the houses. How, I'm sorry, I just find it highly suspicious that this guy had this information. The box that this girl was found in, it was seen in the driveway between the houses. One of the houses is where the guy lived, Okay. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, please. We're almost done. Please. Please. Please.
Tie-in.
Okay.
Walter Ogrod was due in court on March 27, 2020 to meet with a judge about vacating his conviction. However, this was delayed due to the coronavirus pandemic. The meeting was rescheduled for June. On June 5, 2020, a Philadelphia judge vacated Ogrod's conviction and ordered his release. 5 days later, another judge agreed to let prosecutors withdraw all outstanding charges against him. As a result, he is legally exonerated, meaning the case is officially on.
is officially unsolved. And that's ultimately what I feel is the biggest crime of all. We have a child who was murdered, and yet it feels like that they took. It feels like that they cared more about the fact that this guy, this Walter Ogrod. It sounds like that they cared more about this guy being innocent than actually trying to find out who killed this girl. You know, like, to me, it seems like poor Barbara Jean. It sounds like she literally became just like a background noise in this entire story. You have a girl who is murdered. Oh no, we're going to kind of move her off to the side. Let's focus on Walter Ogrod. I'm sorry. It just upsets me. It's like you literally have somebody who was actually murdered, and they spend more time in this update, or the results here, talking about this guy Walter Ogrod and how he could have been innocent. Yeah, I don't think he's innocent, to be honest. I do not think he's innocent. But that's just me. I think that this guy, I think he got away with murder. But that's just my opinion. I can't say it's fact. It's my opinion. However, the fact that he knows a lot of stuff makes me question it. I don't think you're that innocent if you know that this girl, that you openly said that you attempted to molest her, and then when she resisted, you killed her. I'm sorry, I'm not buying the fact that this Walter Ogrod guy is innocent. But like I said, this is up to you guys. What do you guys think? Sadly, there is no find a grave or anything for Barbara Jean Horde. And, so that's basically it for, or Horn, I said Horde. Barbara Jean Horn, there's no find a grave or anything. So basically that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say thank you to Jasmine for joining us. And that is about it. When I return after these commercials, it will be my final thoughts. So stay tuned and I'll be right back.
Your heart, I love what you got. Too good to be true. You're gentle, you're strong. I wanna belong to someone like you. You make me believe what I've heard. That actions speak louder than words. You're the man for me. You're the best. It's easy as you. Oh yeah.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is the portion of the show where I give you my final thoughts, and I kind of already made my final thoughts known. I do not believe that this guy is as innocent as he claims that he was. Are there corrupt officers out there? Yes. Apparently, these cops they had a history of doing something, bending the law, I guess you could say. I just don't think that they did it this time around. I think that this guy made the confession. I think that jailhouse snitch was credible also. But without having any sort of recordings, we'll never know, basically. Ultimately, what we need to do is we need to look at the fact that a 4-year-old was murdered. She was placed into a box, and she was basically put next to some garbage cans to be treated like garbage. Do you want your child to, share the same fate? I don't think any of us do. And it's because of that we need to get this case solved. I believe in an eye for an eye mentality. Now, to those who say, well, Jeff, eye for an eye makes the world go blind, the person who said that was a fucking pussy. With that out of the way, the person who killed this child needs to pay the price. Eye for an eye. You take a life without due cause, you should forfeit your life. And as of now, for over almost 30 years, to see 88 to 98, 98 to 2000, no, 30 plus years, almost 40 years actually. My bad. I'm shit at math. Sue me. Almost 40 years, this poor girl has been murdered. has been dead, I should say, has been dead. And the person responsible, Walter O'Grod or not, is still out there. He is still out there. And that's truly what the biggest crime is, that a murderer who killed this child is still allowed to walk around, walk with the people. Now, hopefully, best case scenario is that the killer, whoever it was, could have been apprehended for a different crime and that they're in prison. That's a good outcome. Or the best outcome is that hopefully whoever the killer was, maybe they fucked up and they ended up getting killed themselves. But either way, we really need to remember that ultimately, at the end of the day, we lost a 4-year-old. That 4-year-old will never have the chance to grow up. That's just something I wanted to, just throw out. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my final thoughts. And this marks the end of episode 8, season 1. Or season 1, episode 8, however you want to say it. This season had, or this, I keep saying this season. This episode had, let's see here. I'm going to pause it 1 second so I can get it all up. Okay, so this episode had, looks like 5 cases. However, one of the cases I did not cover because the case was already profiled on a previous episode of Unsolved Mysteries. But the 5 cases that were in this episode was, we had the case of Christy Nichols. If you need a quick refresher, basically, Christy was, she ended up I think she ended up disappearing. Her husband is considered a prime suspect. He was able to identify like exactly what clothing was missing, and I think but they've never been able to pin it on him, and I don't think she was ever found. But yeah, the community was really small at the time, and it's one of those small communities. It's so small that people start talking. When they start talking, you can hear it because of the fact that here, let me actually this work. There it goes. He was actually able to, hear what people were saying because the community is so small. So that was the case of Christy Nichols. Another case that was really kind of sad was the case of Gail Delano. Basically, Gail, I think she was twice divorced, and that she basically, honestly, to put it bluntly, she kind of lost hope. And she ended up disappearing. People thought that the person that she was going to go have a blind date with, they thought that he possibly could have done something to her. However, it was revealed that she basically, Gail went to a hotel out of the way and she committed suicide by drug overdose, which is very sad because Gail cannot see that she actually had people who cared for her, and ultimately when she ended her life, it was going to leave irreparable damage to everybody who knew her, basically. So let's actually close this out. Close out. Up next, we have Mark Adams. Piece of shit this guy is. This guy killed a person after a failed strong-arm robbery, basically. He escaped from San Quentin prison. And then there was a fight in the prison yard, I guess you could say, and the police were, fighting to get control back, and he was killed during the retaking of the prison yard. The victim of Mark Adams his name was Mike Rittenauer. He was the one that was strong armed, and Mike basically said, "No, I'm not giving you any money," and Mark killed him. See here. Sadly, what I want to say sadly, the biggest injustice of everything was that after Mark was killed, because of the riot going on or whatever in the prison yard, his family sued and successfully got $2 million in a settlement. $2 million in a settlement. Mike Rittenauer's family lost their loved one. A criminal acts like a criminal and pays the price for it, and he gets $2 million. How the fuck is that fair, ladies and gentlemen? This is one of the things from this episode that just pissed me off. Was a criminal was in a facility that houses other criminals. That criminal dies. Oh, Jeff, it was police brutality. The police were overzealous or whatever. I don't care. He was a killer. He killed somebody. Eye for an eye. That family lost their son. Mike Rittenhour is never coming back. This guy was able to kill somebody, escape prison, come back. He gets killed, and his family makes bank. How is that fair to Mike Rittenhour's family? And the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, it is not. Okay, so, and then after that, we have the case of Stephen Cox. Basically, Stephen Cox operated a very elaborate Ponzi scheme, and people tried to say, "Oh well, he had good intentions. He had good intentions. He did not want to. He did not want to do this to people. It was just that things got too bad." The motherfucker made plans over a month in advance that if shit was going to go sideways, that he was going to flee the area with his wife and possibly his best friend. No, if he was actually a man of his word and he was an all-around good guy, he would have stayed and faced the music. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, criminals are a fucking cowardly bunch. And here's the catch. Even after all this shit was done, let's see here. Come on, let's see here. Extra notes, results. Even after all this was done, and it was all done and said and everything, he ended up getting in trouble again and going back to fucking prison. See here. He was late released and paroled. In October 2005, he was arrested again in Garden City, Idaho, and on charges of grand theft, forgery, computer crime, and parole violation. In December 2013, he was again released from prison. I'm sorry. Does that really scream like this guy was an all-around guy and he didn't mean any harm? No, he fucking knew what he was doing, and people just don't want to have the fucking backbone and say, yeah, this guy was a pretty bad guy. He needs to pay for it. No. They like to say, oh, he was just in over his head. No, he fucking knew what he was doing. He fucking knew what he was doing, and you need to wake up. Finally, the saddest case next to Gail, the two cases that really make me feel a bit worse bad is Gail Delano and the case of Barbara Jean Horn. And we already know what happened to Barbara Jean Horn. That's what this whole episode was about. I still think Walter O'Grod most likely killed this child. And because he realized, oh shit, they could put me to death for this. Coercion. Yeah, like, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I do not buy it. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the entire rundown of season 1, episode 8. Next time before I turn that section off. So next time when we go to season 1, starting episode 9, it is going to be the case of Kurt Sova. I think this case may have been covered already. I cannot recall. So I'll just do it. I'll just cover it again, But basically we have Kurt Sova, and basically what it was that he went to a party and he was never seen after that until he was found. It was a few days later. He was found in an empty lot. But we'll talk about that next time. When we start episode 9 of season 1. Sorry guys. So season 1, episode 9, which will be coming up probably this weekend, since I only have a few days left before I return to work. I would like to get a couple more of these episodes, or these editions or installments, or what do you want to call it. I want to get a couple more cranked out. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed this installment. As always, hey, hold on. I thought I had it set up here. There you go. As always, if you like what you watch, which I hope that you did, feel free to click on the subscribe button, and you'll be alerted when I release the next installment of Black Site, Files from Unsolved Mysteries. As always, my name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Wishing you all a great day. Stay safe out there, everybody. Peace out.